Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we're gonna watch Friday the 13th Part 3. Here we go. The movie begins with final scenes of Part 2 just like this one. Ginny and Paul think Jason is dead and leave, but here we see Jason crawling injured and then comes a shot of his mother's head, Pamela. But before we continue, I need to point something out. This movie has a lot of close-ups like these, and that's because this movie was made to be watched in theaters using 3D glasses, something that was trendy back then, I guess. Okay, let's continue. After the events of the second movie, we go to this lakefront store where an unmasked Jason Voorhees walks through the shadows, and this woman is watching the news on television about the murders at the camp. Very close, this guy works at the store and eats everything on the shelves. Then, he goes to the bathroom where he's drawn in by a suspicious movement and gets ambushed by Jason. Next is his wife. As always, a group of friends heads to Camp Crystal Lake, and only two of them are worth mentioning here. This girl named Chris, just because she's the main character, and this guy wearing a mask and carrying a knife who is a prankster because of the iconic mask that Jason will wear forever. On the way, they find this old man lying in the middle of the road. He shows them an eyeball he found who knows where, and they run away scared while the old man warns them to go back.
Look upon this omen, and go back from whence ye came.
Nope, sorry, I prefer Crazy Ralph for this job.
Got a death curse.
So, everyone arrives at the camp and settle into Chris's father's house. Chris's boyfriend is there too. Well, not much happens here. Chris seems to see something, and later she hears a scream and runs into the house to find this. But it's just the prankster playing macabre pranks. As they walk, Chris confesses to her friend that she's been seeing things and hearing things since they got there. Meanwhile, this girl and the prankster go shopping at a store. Here they meet some bikers who mess with them. When they get out, they get in the car and run over one of the motorcycles, which angers this guy who breaks the windshield just so we can see another 3D effect shot. So the prankster turns around and runs over the motorcycle before fleeing. But the bikers go to the camp and steal gas from Chris's van, and this girl goes to the barn to snoop around. She plays hanging from a rope, and this guy asks her to come back. At one point, he doesn't see her and goes in to look for her, but he finds her impaled with a pitchfork through her neck. Seconds later, he finds a similar destination. Then this guy comes in too and accidentally finds him. Jason shows up and he tries to kill him, but Jason beating this guy unconscious. That night, Chris and his boyfriend talk. Chris reveals that she was attacked by a deformed man 2 years prior, which prompted her to leave Crystal Lake in the first place. The main reason that she returned was to confront her fears. Her overall memory of the incident is unclear. Meanwhile, this girl is walking by the lake when she is surprised by the prankster wearing a hockey mask. She gets angry, so they argue. He leaves, and she stays there. Then he hears something and goes into the barn. Jason is then shown here wearing the prankster's mask. Mask that he would never take off, not even to take a shit. In the house, these two make woohoo! And then she goes to take a shower while he walks around with his hands. Moment that Jason takes advantage of to cut him like a pork chop. After the shower, she rests in a hammock while reading a Fangoria magazine, but Jason thrusts a machete through her chest from beneath. In the kitchen, this couple is cooking when the power goes out and he goes to check the basement, but surprise! Jason throws him against the fuse box and electrocutes him. Suddenly, she finds the prankster with a slashed throat, believing it is a joke at first, but when she realizes it's not, she runs for help, giving us the worst performance in the entire movie. But it doesn't matter because Jason impales her with a hot fire poker. Well, Chris and his boyfriend return to the house to find it in disarray. Noticing that no one is there and that the power is out, he goes to take a look around. Later, she goes outside and calls out to him, but she gets no response because her boyfriend is in Jason's hands now. So, she goes back inside and, well... Upstairs, she finds the shower running and bloody clothes in the bathtub. Outside, she finds the body of a biker hanging from a tree, so she goes back to the house where she gets Jason's express delivery. She runs away and locking herself in a room where she finds the body of the Fangoria magazine girl. She pulls out the knife in her back to have something to defend herself with. And this is too much for me, so let's go to my what the hell section. Clearly, she dies this way. Look at this. And here's just a knife stuck in her back. There's no way this knife can go through you from side to side. And here, she turns off the shower and goes to read something. So why does Chris find the bathtub flooded? Is Jason doing laundry or what? And also, what is the deal with Jason and his fascination with moving dead bodies around? He takes a body out of the barn only to place it on this tree. And before this girl gets out of the shower, he already cut this guy in half and placed the two parts of his body on top of a beam under the ceiling. Why go to all the trouble? Anyway, I'd better stop here or I won't finish this video. Jason, with his innate ability to get any tool at the right time, gets an axe to break the door, but a few stabs here and there manage to keep Jason at bay so she can escape through the window. But instead of running away, she waits at the door to ambush Jason with a log. Yeah, you heard me, with a log. After that, Chris gets into the van and flees, but it gets stuck on the wooden bridge. Jason reaches her, but she manages to break free from him. She heads to the barn and Jason goes after her. Chris hides from him and strikes Jason over the head with a shovel. Then she ties him with a rope around his neck and throws him from there to watch him hang. Chris wants to get out of there, but when he opens the doors, Jason starts to struggle to get the rope off and accidentally shows his face to her. Then he goes after her, machete in hand. The biker wakes up and they fight, but Jason kills him this time. An axe blow to the head, but this fucker is still walking. He tries to reach Chris, but after a few steps he falls to the ground. Just like Alice at the end of part 1, Chris gets into a canoe, heads out onto the lake, and falls asleep. What's wrong with these women? Read my lips. Get out of the camp. Well, Chris wakes up to see Jason in the house, and she tries to row away. And enraged, Jason goes after her. At one point, Chris looks over his shoulder, but no one is there. It is as if it were a vision due to the shock. And suddenly, Mrs. Voorhees emerges from the lake to drag her down with her. I get it, they sought to draw a parallel with the end of part 1, but why does Jason's mother keep her head in place when she died decapitated? Is this just another hallucination? If it is, why is Chris seeing people she's never met? Anyway, from here, we move to this scene where we see this cop escorting a totally freaked out Chris to the police car. And she completely loses her mind. We see the police car leaving the scene, and we see Jason's body still lying on the barn floor. And again, like at the end of part 1, a final shot shows us the peaceful waters of Crystal Lake. Well, this was Friday the 13th part 3. I hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching, and
Goodbye.